All right. We are live. And I think we're live on Instagram as well. I'm live on YouTube. Yes, we are golden. Hi. Hi, everybody. Hello, I'm Courtney from Dandelion Branding, if you didn't know. But yeah, today I'm going to be talking about a content marketing system and why it's so important. Um, So I'm gonna get started and talk a little bit about all that. But first, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you if you're here or if you're watching on the replay. That likely means that you're either, working on creating a better system for your content marketing, or you're just getting started. But that's all good. Either way, congrats. That's a big step. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. So I want to start off by kind of just talking about why content marketing is so important, because I think it's really necessary to kind of understand why we're doing what we're doing. And yeah, understanding that why I think is helpful for when we kind of get to the pieces of like, okay, yeah, it is really hard and it does take time, but it's important. So I wanted to kind of list out really some of our, I think the main reasons why content marketing is so critically important, particularly for small businesses, but really for any brand. Um, and first off, is that it really it solidifies your authority. It gives you the chance to talk about your brand, your products, your values, anything, and really solidify yourself and your brand voice as an authority on in your industry, and in a way that kind of like nothing else really does that, not in the same way at least. And in the same vein, it helps to create a connection with your audience, and because you're constantly giving them things that they might really like resonate with and connect with. If you're constantly putting out new content, then you're more likely to put out stuff that your audience will enjoy, appreciate, see that as valuable, and that's a good place to be. It helps bring organic traffic to your website. That's always a great thing. We want more eyes on your website. The more, the merrier. Um, and it helps expand your SEO possibilities. Like, because you're able to create new content all the time, um, you have more of an opportunity to use new keywords and kind of expand the scope of the SEO on your site. And yeah, it just gives you so much good material to work with for your email marketing, for social, and all of your marketing channels. So, probably preaching to the choir, but I think that it's really important to kind of start there. Like, why is content marketing so important? And why is it then okay that it does take some time? I'm going to be real. Of course, it takes time. Absolutely. Um, but it, you got to do it. You got to do it, and it has so much return on investment. So much unforeseen, like not even direct return on investment, because it's definitely like a long game strategy. Um, but yeah, it's so important. And if you're working on content marketing right now, then you might be in the phase where things get a bit more challenging and where you really are maybe in the madness and the part where, if you're lacking some sort of a structure, then the being able to come up with consistent content ideas and putting them out there can feel really overwhelming, and it can get kind of out of control really quickly. Um, and yeah, the madness and the lack of structure start to present themselves pretty obviously, pretty clearly. And um, we talk to a lot of small business owners, and so frequently we hear that content marketing is, it's too time consuming, and it takes so much effort with little return, or you're just maybe unsure of the return and like, is it worth it? And you don't know exactly where to like focus your time. There are so many channels and there's so many options of what you can do. And so kind of, yeah, it can feel like you're burning the candle at like all of the ends and the sides, all of it, and be really overwhelming really, really quickly. And this is really why we created the system, or we've been creating the system that we work with. We call it our content engine because it just keeps rolling and you got to keep it going. Got to grease it up every once in a while. But once it keeps rolling, like it is going forward. And yeah, it is. It's a way to streamline your content marketing efforts to really maximize your your it maximizes what you are putting your energy towards and ensures that you're always kind of moving forward. And over time definitely becomes a more efficient process. And yeah, it truly, truly tames the madness. There is really no way that we would have been able to run our own business as a content marketing agency and all of our clients' content marketing strategies and creation without this particular method. So I can't speak about it highly enough. It's something I'm very passionate about because it has been so, so critically helpful for us and also for all of our clients. It just gives so much consistency and regularity to your already hectic schedule as a business owner. And that's truly a blessing. And it is something like any bit of like consistency and regularity to a weekly schedule as a business owner is kind of priceless. So, yeah, I think that's really important. Um, yeah, our method it allows for you to separate out your planning stage from when you're actually doing all and creating the content. And then when you're looking back at it and really kind of validating your results and always making sure that you're honing in on what your audience likes. It's really cyclical and it is holistic. It's truly holistic. Um, yeah. So here's a little breakdown of the process. Um, and throughout this, you'll probably kind of get an understanding of why this is so necessary for if you're dedicated to producing regular content for your audience. So we always start with working on understanding your audience. And if you're just getting started, then you might be making a lot of guesses, and that's okay. That's okay at first. You know, you want to work on understanding what they like, what they want to learn about, what you can specifically teach them about, how you can communicate your brand's values and information about your brand, but keep it interesting, keep it in a way that still gives them value and allows for them to really be the center. Um, so that's always the first step is sort of like, okay, where are they? What do they like? There's a lot of, audience understanding audience work that is necessary before you can begin your content marketing strategy that really informs a lot of the decisions that you're going to be using in that strategy. So that's the first phase. And then the second is kind of a high level planning. That's where we put together a marketing calendar that has all of your different marketing channels on it. It is truly holistic. It has every piece of marketing content that you'll be putting out there listed out, so you always know what you're what you're doing, what your plan is. Um, we At that level, we don't necessarily make specific decisions about like what that particular social post, for example, might look like or might be about. But we'll know a general kind of type of post that it might be, or kind of some, whatever we want to maybe communicate about that time of year. We'll have those cues based on the audience work that we did. So, um, and in that high level planning stage is really where you get to take control and figure out the frequency that you want to be producing your larger pieces of pillar content. Those can be, blogs, videos, a podcast, something like a live, maybe even, a reel or a more in-depth educational TikTok or something like that. That can absolutely be considered a pillar piece of content. But it is typically something that's a little bit larger, a little bit more researched, and kind of, um, you know, helps to show you as the authority on that particular topic, helps answer questions and things like that. Um, yeah, so in this planning phase is where you get to choose what your frequency is, and that is huge. I think that that's something that, like, a lot of folks have trouble with, because you want to feel like you're doing all the things all the time, or that's probably how you do feel. And we don't definitely get that as well, but you're in control. You are the business owner. And so you get to say, okay, I understand my life, my lifestyle, my regular schedule, and all the other things you've got going on to run your business. How frequently can I be producing content in a way that I will stick with it, stay consistent, and where I can actually make this and not feel like I am running on a hamster wheel. um, and so that is, it's really so helpful once you've kind of established that frequency, because that just sort of sets the pace and sets the tone for everything else. And those main pieces of pillar content is really your anchor for the entirety of your holistic marketing calendar. And you can kind of fill in fill in the rest with other bits for other marketing channels where you maybe need to show up more frequently. Pillar content can definitely be every month. It could be every 2 months. It could be once a quarter if they're, maybe more in depth. We do suggest that folks are maybe once a month is like a really nice kind of middle ground. If you can do every 2 weeks for a blog post, then that's awesome. If you could do every 1 week, then that's also awesome. But we understand that also showing up for your audience with a cool, well thought out piece of pillar content every month is still incredible. And so it's all good anyway, but it's really just about consistency, because that's really what gets the trust building piece of this, is if your audience can kind of know that they can expect you to show up with a cool piece of filler content every so often. If it's like every week for a month and then you disappear for 6 months, like that's not the best look. And that doesn't really create an ongoing trust based relationship. So, yeah, coming up with a frequency that works for you, that feels good, is so, so, so key. And that, well, like, once that's in place, like, the rest just kind of settles in. And that's a beautiful thing. And so that's sort of the 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 planning bit. And of course, then, we're taking what we have planned and then kind of breaking that out week by week, figuring out what we want to actually produce for like social media and all of those bits in between. Um, but we do that maybe on about like a monthly basis. The higher level planning we do on a quarterly basis. And then we make actually specific decisions about, like, I don't know, and just a middle, like any of those middle social posts that kind of happen in between the um, pillar pieces of content. We make that decision kind of on the fly sometimes, or a week or two in advance. Um, but yeah, we like to keep the actual deciding about, the bits of those social media pieces of content, a little bit more relevant to kind of what's happening now. But the pillar pieces are evergreen. They're not necessarily tied to things that are happening right now. So that is why it's a little bit easier to plan those out like 3 months in advance. Um, and then yeah, the final piece is okay, you've been creating all of this content. You need to make sure that it's working, and that means looking at your data. And that's really where you get kind of validation. Did what worked? What didn't work? We recommend collecting data on a weekly or a bi-weekly, maybe monthly schedule, but then looking back at it and looking for trends on kind of maybe every quarter. Um, just so you've given each of your maybe your types of posts, your new ideas, you've given them a little bit of time to settle, and your audience you're going to be better able to identify trends if you have a larger set of data. Pardon. Um, so yeah, once and so then you've looked at the data, you've maybe been like, okay, that post type seems like it didn't do as well or as the others, and it consistently is the lowest performer. Okay, you kind of make inferences like, well, could the imagery be different? Could the caption be different? Could the call to action be different? Um, and then you kind of make educated guesses and re-strategize and then keep it going. You're kind of then back at the beginning of understanding your audience, but now you have more data that is real information about how they liked it or if they didn't. And that yeah, there's no better way to kind of make sure you're moving in a positive direction than by actually looking at the real data. We know that data can be the bane of some small business owners' existence, but it is something that kind of can't be avoided. Um, Maybe unfortunate, but it's true. Um, and you'll learn to love it, right? You can learn to love it. It is that unbiased friend that, like, maybe tells you the hard truths that you might not want to hear, but like you can't hold it against them because they're just doing it. They have your best interest in mind. That's data. Okay. Anywho, so that's the basics of our content engine. And that's the structure that allows for us to be consistent at creating content that is regular enough to be scheduled. It is predictable. It allows for us to like know we can go on vacation for weeks at a time because we know what we're going to be producing. We can do that in advance. We can schedule things in advance. And that sort of like stability is awesome. It is so awesome. It is also super easy to then scale because you have so much of this high level planning already done. So if you're scaling your business and bringing in additional help, then you can easily kind of delegate these bits and pieces because they're already something that you can predict, you can expect them. So that's been really, really critical as well. That's been so helpful as we've scaled our own business and have hired help with any piece of the content creation process, be it content writing, be it graphic design, photographers, things like that. You have sort of all the building blocks that you would need to give them details for the specific work that they need to do. Um, so that's been really fantastic. That's been so helpful for us to be able to scale our own business and our client businesses as well. Um, yeah, I kind of just can't like, I can't stress enough how it just there is no way that, myself, or Ob as business owners would have been able to do this and run the business in the way that we are as frequently as we are producing content for ourselves and for all our clients without this method. And perhaps it comes as no surprise, but dun, 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 I have a surprise. um, my special announcement. I mentioned it in our feed post and in in my story yesterday. This system we have created a training and we want to invite you. If this system sounds helpful for you, if you need to really have a method to your madness, if you are in the madness right now and need a system to get out of it to help rein it all in, then I would love to invite you to our 6-week content engine training. You'll learn the entire method that I mentioned throughout this this live and how to apply it to your brand. So you will have a completely custom content marketing strategy that is reusable. You can be consistently honing it in and making it better and taking this engine and running with it. We are just so excited about this particular offer because we know that content marketing can be so incredibly effective at allowing small businesses to compete in their industry against the traditional alternatives, specifically sustainable small businesses. And we know that it can just be such an overwhelming process once you're like dedicated. You're like, okay, I know that content marketing is important, but how do I even begin to fit it into my crazy schedule? We feel you. And we've been hearing that same sentiment for now like 2 years that we've been in business, and we've finally honed in our own process to the point where we are ready to share it with the world. And so we have officially opened registration for that training. Um, as of right now, we are thinking that it'll probably be easiest for small business owners to get started with this process in January. So we have it tentatively scheduled to begin in the first week of January, but we're flexible. We want to keep it open and we definitely want to make sure that it works with everybody's schedules because it is going to be a live weekly training where we meet in person. We'll have a private group where we can kind of go over all of the course material. You'll have a little bit of like prior reading and a little bit of homework to do on in the in between, but we will meet live once a week and yeah, make sure that it's all getting greased up, getting running. um, actually, it's an electric engine. It's not an oil-based engine. I apologize for all the grease puns. Anywho, we've officially opened up registration, so I I hope that you take a look and will sign up for the training. We are so excited about it and we know that it's just going to be so incredibly helpful for you. So thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in to this live. If you have any questions about any of the things that I kind of went over, I know I went quite fast. I'm a little nervous. I don't do lives very often. But yeah, feel free to leave a comment and I'll talk to you soon. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.